WhiskyJason here, whiskey from the viewpoint of an American in Germany, tasting rare and exotic whiskeys. Welcome to the third and the last of the GlenAllachie Wine Cask Finish series. So we started off with the 11-year-old here from GlenAllachie. We moved on over to the 12-year-old from Zaltan. And we're going to finish off with the 13-year-old, which is a Rioja cask finish. Whiskybase number 182508, 13 years old. And the interesting thing I'm going to compare the two is here we have Spanish oak, here we have French oak. Here we have about 64 euros, here we have about 61 euros. Both of these are 48%, both of these are non-chill filtered and natural color. And both of these are from Rioja, and they both have about a 2-year finish in red wine barriques. As I said, this is Spanish, Rioja, and this is from Tuscany, this is Italian. So, very, very interesting. Now, GlenAllachie is a very, very interesting new distillery. Not new in the case that it's just been recently founded, that is over 50 years ago. But knew that Billy Walker bought it here from Pernod Ricard. And so all this distillate was actually distilled, the juice was made by Pernod Ricard, and all that Billy Walker did was put a 2-year finish on all of these. My personal theory at the moment is the 11-year-old is better than the 13-year-old due to 2 reasons. Number one, the main reason is there were basically only 9 years compared to 11 years in that old distillery wood. Those second and third fill, probably hogsheads basically in the barrels, the oak barrels that have been used many times. So the 2-year finish here has a higher influence and doesn't have as much to mask as here the 2-year after 11 years. That's number one. And number two, maybe I like the French oak a tiny little bit better than I do the Spanish oak. I really like a good Rioja, a good dry wine. I have the feeling that the red wine from Tuscany, the GlenAllachie, is a little sweeter. Now, I'm not a great fan of sweet red wines, but maybe that's better for the finish. Now, it's very interesting, the descriptors that GlenAllachie gave this. The 11-year-old should be a rich ruby blush in the color, and this should be a golden blush. What in all the world is blush as a color? When you have a little blush, I don't know. So I think that the 11-year-old Tuscany is a tiny, tiny little bit more of a peach apricot moment. On the nose, the 13-year-old Rioja, I get a little bit of sulfur. On the 11-year-old, I get more sulfur. All right, I mentioned this in my 11-year-old video. I'm going to mention again. You can actually today transport casks in a refrigerated container. You do not need to put a sulfur candle into these wine barrels. All right, so just for the future. Here it's more of a red type of berry moment. And here it's more of a honeyed type of peach moment. Okay. I think I prefer this more, but let's try and take a look here. The official tasting notes are waves of rich berries, honey, grape, musk, orange peel, and almonds. I don't get almonds in whiskeys very often. All right. Sláinte to your health. It's a dry berry moment. It's not the wood astringency. It's maybe it is. As I said, here we have the Spanish wood, and here we have the French wood, the French oak. There's a little bit more of a bitterness here that I'm not very fond of. So if I were to rank them at the moment, I would put the 11-year-old, then the 12-year-old, and then the 13-year-old. I'm not a big fan of the Zaltan, but the Zaltan actually is very, very well done. Let's go back to the 11-year-old. I always have to look because I can't say the GlenAllachie, GlenAllachie. The sulfur is here more than here, unfortunately. Behind the sulfur, there's that nice berry, strawberry moment. All right, interesting, interesting. So it says here, this golden blush malt obtains its subtle summer berry honeyed character from meticulously selected Rioja barrique of Spanish oak with a medium level of toasting. Rioja hails from Spain's most renowned wine region, delivers sophisticated fruit notes. These barriques were selected and then bottled when the influence from the distillery and wood reaches complete harmony. So the last sentence here is exactly, it says here, when the influence from both the distillery and wood reaches perfect equilibrium. Oh, there was a change in wording here. I didn't even notice that. And with the Sultan, it says here, the characteristic of the distillery and the wood in perfect balance. Perfect balance, complete harmony, and in perfect equilibrium. Ooh, someone did their homework in the marketing team. Well done, well done. All right. I once had, I think it's about a year ago, I actually had a single cask from GlenAllachie, from a Rioja cask, about 54, maybe 56%, somewhere in between there. Was not a favorite of them, wasn't a fan. And what I did afterwards is I did a blind tasting. Now, I'm just going to give this actually here this is going to be the C++, this is going to be the C, and this is going to be the C- in grading. They all cost about the same. We're between 61 and 64 euros, depends on where you go. So the value for money goes down, up. This is the C in the value for money. This is the C- in value for money. This is basically a D+ for the value for money. That's my opinion of these whiskeys as they are. Now, what I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to do exactly the same thing I did with my other 3 bottles that I had back then. I'm going to do a blind tasting. What is a blind tasting? Blind tasting means I have blue glasses, so I can't see the color of the whiskeys. They are marked with A, B, C on the bottom. And so what I'm going to do is in the A, I'm going to pour the 11-year-old. In the B, I'm going to pour the Sultan, which is the 12-year-old. So I'm going to take these off the table in a second. And then in the C, as soon as I get to it, I'm going to pour in the 13-year-old. All right. And then I'm going to blind nose them, I'm going to blind taste them, and I'm going to give you my opinion of not knowing what is. So what it means, I have to do a little bit of a scramble here, a little bit of scrambled eggs, so that I can trick myself. All right, very, very good. So now, as I said, this is A, B, and C, and what's going to happen is I'm going to talk for a second, and I'm going to do this, and I have no idea where what is because I am easily confused, and I have no idea what is which one. So you might actually understand what's going on, but I really don't. All right, good. So somewhere is A, B, and C. Somewhere is our Sultan, somewhere is our Rioja, and somewhere is our Gratamajo. On the nose. Sulfur. On the nose. Sultan goodness. On the nose. Ooh, okay, whoa, wait a second. So, I thought this was going to be easy. Blind tasting actually makes people feel very humbled, me included. My tip of the day is you take 3 glasses just like this, and 2 of these glasses you pour the same, in 1 glass you pour something that's different. See if you can identify it. So, take 3 glasses, pour 3 identical things in there, add water to 1, see if you can notice a difference. And always try find the odd one out. So I'm up a level here. I have 3 different ones. Can I find the odd one out? That's the Sultan. That's the sulfur. And that's less of a sulfur moment. So that's going to be my Rioja. That's going to be my, I'm just going to call it Toscana, and that's going to be my Sultan. So there should be a B underneath there. Yep. So which one did I just say is which? Okay, this is going to be my Rioja. This should be a C. Yep. And this is my Toscana, my A. Very, very good. So I'm going to mix them up again because I kind of almost know what's what at the moment. And so I'm going to taste them. I'm going to try not to nose them beforehand so that I have no idea what I'm actually tasting. All right, good. So let's go to the first one. Whoops, don't nose. Shame on you. That is a sulfur. That has a lot of sulfur. But do I get the strawberry afterwards? That's the question here. Or do I get the dryness of the Rioja? I think I'm picking up the dryness of the Rioja. All right, the second one. Oops, don't smell, Jason. That is Sultan. That's a little bit too much of a Sultan, but it's actually a Sultan and it's nice. And then a tiny, tiny little bit of bitterness towards the end here. What happens is I get very, very sensitive to bitterness from the wood if I taste too many in a row. I do notice that I've done maybe 15 bourbons, even some of them cask strength. And then towards the end it was like bitter or not. And that was really one of the main categories. Your tongue gets tired, the taste buds get tired, and that's one of the things I'm looking for. All right, so this is Sultan again in the middle. Wow, what did I do? And is this the Rioja or is this the Tuscany? It's got more of a dryness. It's got to be the Tuscany. Now what's really interesting, but I'm not sure, what's really interesting is the sulfur gets really kicked up after I do the Sultan. This has a lot more sulfur. I have to go back to this one real quick and see if it has more or less sulfur. It has more sweetness. I get the strawberries here, I think, and I get the sulfur and the berries here. Now, to be very honest, it's kind of difficult for me, blind, to taste the difference, and it shows what a weakling or what a bad blind taster I actually am. I cannot 100 definitively % tell the difference between a Spanish oak and a French oak, and I cannot tell the difference between a Tuscany red wine and a Rioja red wine as a cask finish here by GlenAllachie. One last time, and then I'm going to give my final decision. This is set as a Sultan, no problem. Interesting. This actually has less of the sulfur and more of the dry berries, so I'm going to go for the Rioja. And this has more of the sulfur and more of a strawberry moment, so it's more of the Tuscany. A, C, B. A, yep. C, and here B. Yay. Interesting, interesting, interesting. Very, very good. So, A was the Tuscany, B was, as I mentioned here, the Sultan, and C, as I mentioned, was the Rioja. Got them. Very good. Interesting enough, I did this in my German video before this, and I got those two a little bit confused. I wasn't really sure in the nose, I got it right. In the palate, I was a little bit, oh, could be 50-50, but the more I taste these whiskeys, the more I can identify the characteristics that make them different, and you need to have a little bit of experience experience with the whiskey to be able to differentiate and to tell what they are. All right, thank you very much. My question of the day was, what is your favorite Rioja cask finish? Anything from Spain would be fine. And of the cask finish series, what would be your favorite? I'd still think, let's start with the bottom. Let's start at the top. I still really like, even though the sulfur is the highest here with the 11-year-old, I like the taste of this the best. Second of all, I like the taste of the Sauternes. And last but not least, even though they were very similar, I'm not a big fan of the Rioja in my case. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for subscribing, share this video with others, and thank you very much. And what are your experience with blind tasting? Have you done any of these experiments? Have you tried it yourself? How well do you do? I'm still learning after even 2,000 some plus whiskeys that I've tried. All the best. See you soon. Whiskey Jason. Bye-bye.